Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Wherever you are, welcome to our June 2019 Accessibility Learning webinar. My name is Corey Joseph, and I'm a blind UX engineer here at Microsoft, and I work in core services engineering.
And I'm Crystal Jones. I work on the Disability Answer Desk team. We're your moderators for today's webinar. Before we jump into things, I want to talk a little bit about why we are doing these webinars. Our mission here at Microsoft is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. We've heard from our customers that you want webinars and training that will update you on the latest features in our products. To do this, we started a webinar series in January of this year, and we're really excited to have these every month for you. So, Corey, let's hear about today's webinar.
Sure. Before we get started, I want to make sure that everyone knows that we have live captioning available online at aka.ms/webinar captions. That's webinar captions, all one word with an S. All right. In terms of format, today's session will be an hour long, and we'll have 15 minutes at the end dedicated to Q&A. Today we will have Mariah and Jeff here to talk about our new features in Narrator in the May 2019 update, as well as some tutorials. And in case you miss out on an element or can't attend the entire session, don't worry, we'll have a recording available within about a week, and we will email out a link for everyone who's registered for today. I think we're ready to go. Crystal, have I missed anything?
Yeah, just one more thing before we turn it over. As Corey mentioned, we will have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions as you're listening to Mariah and Jeff today, please go ahead and email those to accwebinars with an S at Microsoft.com, or you can get us on Twitter by sending your tweet to @MSFTEnable with the hashtag accessibilitywebinar. So let me go ahead and turn it over to Jeff and Mariah.
Thank you so much, Crystal. And welcome, everybody. We're really excited about being here today with you. My name is Jeff Bishop, and I'm a program manager on the Windows Accessibility team, and I work on Narrator. Well, I really want to thank all of you for the tremendous amount of feedback that we've received on our last webinar. We saw tweets from you, and some of us even got personal email. And also, there was coverage on podcasts all over the world, from the UK, Canada, United States, and more. And we really appreciate that. Mariah?
Great, thanks, Jeff. So I'm Mariah Moon, and I work on the Narrator team as well. And we are going to be demoing Narrator. I just wanted to go through a quick agenda for what we're going to cover. So we're going to cover Narrator Home and this new startup experience. We will cover the reading experiences for Narrator, the new Chrome support, as well as how to give us feedback. And just as a reminder, we are not going to cover most of the stuff that was covered in our first Narrator webinar that we filmed in January, but we can post a link to that in our description. So if you're finding this new, we recommend watching that first one first, and then this is kind of the part 2. All right, so I am going to get out of PowerPoint here, and I will start by turning on Narrator. So I'm going to press the Control key, the Windows key together, and then press Enter.
Narrator dialog. OK. Button. Alt plus O. Heads up. Narrator keyboard changes. We've updated the Narrator keyboard.
So I'll stop it there. So we did talk about this in the last webinar. This is the new keyboard changes. We had such a big change with the new keyboard updates. We did want to leave this dialog in for this update as well. So just as a reminder, the new keyboard updates were to make the keyboard layout for Narrator more ergonomic, mnemonic, and familiar.
And Mariah, we'll be talking a lot about resources, but one of the things that I wanted to point out here is that if you did not catch the last webinar where we talked about the new keyboard design and the new keyboard layout, then you can refer to the Narrator user guide and refer to Appendix B as in boy, and that documents all of the new keyboard layout.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. So I'm going to go ahead and dismiss this by pressing Enter on the OK button.
Narrator heading level 1. Welcome to Narrator. This is Narrator Home, where you can get help, access your...
So I'll stop it there. So the next thing that's going to come up that is new for this release is something we call Narrator Home. And Narrator Home was made to kind of solve two major problems. The first problem that we heard from our customers is they couldn't find all of their resources. So we gathered all of the Narrator resources into one place. And I'm just going to tab through here so you can hear what each resource is. So I'm going to hit tab first.
Quick Start button, Alt, Q.
So the first resource in the new Narrator Home is the Quick Start. So we talked about the Quick Start in the last webinar. The Quick Start is something that helps you quickly learn how to use Narrator. It's the top 13 things you need to learn to get up and running. So that is the first button on the Narrator Home. I'm going to tab again.
Narrator Guide button, Alt, G.
So next up is the Narrator Guide. That's the online user guide with all of our documentation. So I'll tab again.
What's New button, Alt, W.
Okay, so what's new? We heard from people that they were having trouble figuring out what was new for every update of Narrator. So we now have a What's New page. If I press Enter on this button, I will go to
version released in 2019.
The Narrator What's New. So I'll go back to Narrator Home here.
Heading level 1. Welcome to Narrator. This is Narrator.
All right, so I will tab now to Settings.
Narrator Guide button, What's New button, Alt, Settings button, Alt, S.
Okay, so next up we have the Settings button. That will take you to the Narrator settings. We've also heard from people that they didn't know where all the settings were. So now all of the Narrator settings are in one place, and you can get there by pressing Enter on the Settings button, or you can press Windows logo key, Control N, N as in Narrator. And I'll tab again.
Feedback button, Alt, F.
And we also put a feedback button on here. We want you to be able to quickly give us feedback. And Jeff is going to be talking more about that at the end. So to solve the first big problem, we wanted to collect all of your resources and put them in one place. So they are all now on Narrator Home. So the next big problem we wanted to solve was we wanted to make it easier for our customers to switch between apps. So we did two things to help. So I'm going to tab first to the setting that's on Narrator Home.
Show Narrator Home when Narrator starts checkbox checked.
So we've heard from some customers that they don't want Narrator UI, the Narrator window, to show up when Narrator turns on. So we added a setting for you to not show this window when Narrator turns on. So that setting is Show Narrator Home when Narrator starts. So by default, that is checked. If you don't want Narrator Home to show, you can uncheck that setting. So I will tab through the rest of the buttons here.
Link, start Narrator after sign-in.
We added a deep link for you to be able to quickly configure your settings if you want Narrator to turn on after you sign in.
When you say deep link,
Exit
what
Narrator.
does that really mean?
That just means thank you, Jeff. That just means the link is going into Narrator settings and focus will be set on that setting so you can easily configure it.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
So I just tabbed again to the Exit Narrator button. So if you want to quickly turn off Narrator, there's an Exit Narrator button. We do still sometimes get accidental launches, so we wanted to make it easy for people to turn it off. I'm going to tab one more time.
Minimize button, Alt, M.
All right. And then we get to our Minimize button, which is one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we've heard from people, which is people want to be able to minimize the Narrator window to the system tray. So by default, if I press the Minimize button, Narrator Home will be minimized to the system tray. So I am going to Shift Tab back to Settings, and I will show you the settings related to Narrator Home.
Now, before we do that,
Yes.
So if you minimize to the system tray,
Yes.
for those that need to do this via the keyboard, what's the best way of doing that?
So you can minimize by just pressing Enter on the Minimize button. If you want to get to the system tray, you can use the Windows key B. is a
in
shortcut.
boy.
B as in boy, and that
Right,
will bring you
okay.
to the system tray. That's
Yeah.
that's a great call out. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, so I will shift tab back to settings,
Link. Show narrator feedback. Settings. Button. Alt. S.
and I'll press enter.
Settings window. Use narrator. Turn on narrator. Toggle switch on.
So once again, so I've brought up the narrator settings. Focus is on the turn on narrator button, and I can tab once.
Link. Open narrator home.
So that's the first setting, or the first link related to narrator home. That link will open narrator home. And I will tab a few more times here.
Link. View the complete guide to narrator online. Startup options. Allow the shortcut key to start narrator after sign in for me. Start narrator before sign in for show narrator home when narrator starts checkbox checked.
Okay, so there's the show narrator home when narrator starts. If you uncheck this setting on narrator home itself, you can re-enable it in settings with this setting. I'll tab one more time.
Minimize narrator home to the system tray checkbox checked.
And there is the setting that will minimize narrator home to the system tray. For people who want to be able to interact with narrator home in the taskbar, if you uncheck that setting, you can still interact with narrator home in the taskbar. So that is the new startup experience for narrator and narrator home. So I am going to turn it over to Jeff.
Narrator.
And he is going to be talking about some web browsing.
All right, thank you, Mariah. Well, let me go over what I'm going to be talking about first so that you have a clear understanding of where we're heading here. First, we're going to talk about reading and the work that we've done centered around reading and allowing you to stay focused on content. Next, I'll be talking about verbosity. What does verbosity mean, and what are some of the things that we've done to improve your experience in the, on the web as well as in other applications. Next, we'll talk about some new narrator settings and some changes that we've made here to allow you to further customize the narrator experience. First, we'll talk about phonetics and being able to get phonetic announcements when moving by character. Next, we're going to talk about improving your keyboarding experience, allowing you to customize what keys you hear as you type. And finally, we're going to talk about caps lock alert and allowing you to get caps lock notifications so that you don't reverse type in like email messages and things. So that's where I'm going to go today. So let's get started. I'm in Edge here, at least I believe that I am. Let me double check with the narrator key T. By the way, the narrator key, you'll see that throughout our documentation, but the narrator key is the caps lock key or the insert key by default, and that is customizable in our narrator settings. So let me just double check here.
List of highest grossing films. Wikipedia.
Yep, we're on the list of highest grossing films. Mariah, you remember the last time we were here?
Yes.
And we talked about Star Wars, right?
Yes, we
Yes.
did.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, the new Star Wars movie is coming out in December, and I'm extremely excited about that. But, the Avengers movie came out.
Yes, it
Yeah. The only really bad thing about that Avengers movie, because it was a fantastic movie, was it was so long.
It was pretty
It was really, really long. Anyway, so this is one of our favorite pages to kind of use as a demo, and I think Brett sort of got us to use this one, and it's fun. So, in fact, Avengers is on this page somewhere. All right, so I'm going to go to the top of the page here with Control Home.
Blank.
And I'm at the top. Now, one of the things that we received feedback on from customers was that they wanted a way to make sure that they stay focused within the content when they were web browsing or when they were reading email, either using Outlook or using Windows Mail. So in the May 2019 update, we now restrict or keep you focused on the actual content area, as you're using Narrator.
No previous
So as
item.
you can see here, if I press the up arrow key, I'm actually not going to go into what we call the Chrome or the other areas of the web browser where you can actually, for example, go into settings and things like that. If I go to the bottom here with Control End,
Blank.
then if I press down arrow,
No next item.
same difference here. So again, we're keeping you focused within the content area so that there's no confusion.
Blank.
Now, a couple of other things here about reading. We've done a number of things to improve the reading experience in Narrator. We have more natural reading. So you'll find that as you read either web pages with content or you're reading an email message, you're going to find that Narrator is smoother and feels more natural as you read. That's something that we really focused on in this release. In addition to that, we've improved some pronunciation areas within Narrator, especially when dealing with numbers. So, yeah. Now, let's talk about verbosity. What do I mean when I say verbosity? Verbosity, when we define verbosity, is the amount of information that you hear, both about controls, in other words, things that you interact with, buttons, radio buttons, edit fields, these types of things, combo boxes, list boxes, all of that, right? Or text, specifically text attributes. In other words, what attributes are spoken on text as you are editing, say in Microsoft Word. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to demonstrate this in just a few minutes after we show you the new verbosity levels, and we'll show you the differences here. You can change verbosity levels two different ways. You can do it using hotkeys. So you can press the narrator key, again, the caps lock key or the insert key, followed by the letter V as in verbosity. And that will move you forward through the verbosity levels themselves. Or you can use narrator key shift and the V key for verbosity and move backwards so you can go in either direction. So I'm going to move to number 2 first here, and then we'll describe what that specifically means, and then we'll go to number 3 and so on. So let's go to the previous option here with narrator key shift V.
2. Some control details.
Some control details. This is not the default. 3 is our default. And what does this mean, some control details? This means that you might use this specific verbosity level in an application that you're very familiar with. You don't necessarily need to know all about the control information that's available. You just need very minimal information. So that's what that verbosity level is for. If I continue here to the next one, which is 3.
3. All control details.
All control details. Now, this will give you all information about controls. It's the default experience. It's what you've experienced in Narrator in the past, with some slight exceptions. So that's what you'll experience when you start up Narrator and you have not changed the verbosity level. Now, 4 and 5 have to do with text and text attributes, specifically what attributes are spoken as you edit or move through text, okay? So the first one is 4.
4. Some text details.
Some text details, and again, I'm pressing the narrator key plus the V key as in verbosity. Okay, so some text details. What is this level meant for? This level is designed for people who are doing basic editing. You don't necessarily need to fully proof your document at this point. You're getting your thoughts out in your document. You're quickly creating headings and bulleted lists and just getting your words out there. There's no need to hear a lot of the information about fonts and all kinds of other things. You're going to hear the most common attributes: bold, underline, italic, and more. So those are the types of things that you're going to hear. We're going to try to stay out of your way as you're editing here. Okay? And then 5 is very verbose. You're going to get the most information about text attributes here. Again, I'm going to press the narrator key plus the letter V as in verbosity.
5. All text details.
All text details. Again, this will give you all information about text attributes. So this is really meant for people who are doing a last pass through their document. They're needing to make sure that there's no mistakes in it. They're really proofing it, right? You're doing this last minute check before you send it off to whoever you're going to be sending your document to. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to 3 first, and then we'll show you verbosity level 1 in just a second here. But there's a reason why I'm doing it this way. So I'm going to press Narrator Shift V twice.
3. All control details.
And I'm back on all control details. Okay, so there's something very special about verbosity level 1. Let's talk about what the default reading experience is in Narrator here. I'm going to go to the top of the page, make sure that I'm there. I'm going to move by heading with the letter H.
List of highest grossing films, heading level 1.
Now I'm going to move down the page here, and in a minute I'm going to start reading and let you hear that experience. So let me move down here. I'm just pressing down arrow. I'm in scan mode.
Heading from Wikipedia, link, jump, link, list of highest grossing, link, enlarge. Gone with the Wind held the link, films.
Oh, there we are.
Gone with the Wind held the record of link.
So I'm on this films link here, and I'm going to read from here. So I'm going to do that by using the narrator key plus down arrow. So let's do that.
Films generate income from several revenue streams, including link, theatrical exhibition, link, home video, link, television link, broadcast rights, and link, merchandising.
Okay, so as you can see here, you're hearing link all over the place. I mean, Wikipedia is famous for this, right?
Yes.
Yeah, links everywhere. And so, you know, this is fine for some articles, but boy, especially on sites like Wikipedia, links are everywhere. And so let's talk about what did we do to solve this problem? How can we make people more efficient? We think about students and people who are working in business, and they need to be able to get through text quickly. They want to be able to just get to the content. They don't really care whether it's a link, and they don't want to hear about other stuff. They want to quickly just get the content, get the information that they need. So let's move back now and go back to verbosity level 1. I'm at 3, remember. I'm going to do that with Narrator Shift V. I'll press that twice.
1. Text only.
I'm now in text only mode. So what this means is that you're only going to hear about text. You're not going to hear about links. You're not going to hear about any other control information as you're reading. Now there's a difference here, and it's something that we need to make sure is pointed out, that if you interact, like for example, you're on a web page and there's a form, and you're filling out a web form, and you tab through that form, then yes, you will be able to hear about control information in that experience. However, when you're reading, okay, then here's what the experience will be. So let's move back up. I'm pressing up arrow in scan
Home video.
mode.
Theatrical exhibition. Enlarge. A screen cap of the title card from the trailer. Enlarge. Gone with the Wind held the films.
Okay, so on films here. And remember the experience last time, right? Here's the new experience with verbosity level 1 or text only mode.
Films generate income from several revenue streams, including theatrical exhibition, home video, television broadcast rights, and merchandising.
See how quickly we're able to actually get through that text? You're not hearing link every time a link appears and all of that. That's our new verbosity level 1 or text only reading experience. Now, I want to talk about one other feature that we've added in our May update here that has to do with reading. And this has been a request by a number of people. And you know, we have an advisory board, right? And the advisory board sort of gives us guidance on things as we work with Narrator. And one of the key things they talked about was we need the ability to move by sentence. This is really important for people who are doing editing and other types of user experiences. So to quickly review our keyboarding experience that we talked about in the last webinar, I want to show you a couple things here. I'm going to turn input learning on. I'm doing that by holding down the narrator key and pressing 1.
Input learning on.
Now, the move by sentence command is done on the home row. If you remember from the last time, the keyboarding experience now allows you to move by line, word, and character, page, paragraph, and now by sentence in a new way that's much easier to learn and use. So remember, for example, to move by line, we use the narrator key U, I, and O. So narrator U.
U. Read previous line.
Read previous line. narrator I,
read current line.
read current line, and narrator O.
Read next line.
Right. And then JKL is to move by word, and M comma period is to move by character, right? So now if to move in larger jumps, we add the control key. So we hold down the narrator key plus the control key.
Control.
And U, I, and O move by page.
U, read previous page. I, read current page. O, read next page.
J, K, and L move by paragraph.
J, read previous paragraph. K, read current paragraph. L, read next paragraph.
And M, comma, period, now move by sentence. And we're going to show that in a minute. But here is that experience here in input learning.
M, read previous sentence. Comma, read current sentence. Period, read next sentence.
And read next sentence, right, with narrator control, period. So let's get out of input learning. We do that by holding down the narrator key and pressing 1 twice.
1, input learning off.
And I'm not exactly sure where we are here as far as sentences are concerned here on this page, but let's find out. So let's move to the prior sentence, shall we? So let's press narrator key, control M.
Gone with the Wind held the record of highest grossing film for 25 years and, adjusted for inflation, has earned more than any other film.
Right, so we actually weren't even reading that text before. So if I now, let's go ahead and move to the next sentence here.
Films generate income from several revenue streams, including theatrical exhibition, home video, television broadcast rights, and merchandising.
Right, and we can repeat the current sentence with narrator control comma.
Films generate income from several revenue streams, including theatrical exhibition, home video, television broadcast rights, and merchandising.
Right, so again, narrator control M to move to the previous sentence, the comma to read the current sentence, and period to read the next sentence. It's really a feature that was actually one of our top requests from customers. So we're happy to bring it to you in the May update. Now, let's move to settings. I think we're done here on the web, right, Mariah?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's move to settings. We do that with the narrator, we do that with Control Windows N. I got narrator key on the brain here. I'm getting stuck with that key. Okay, so let's go to narrator settings here with Control Windows N.
Settings window, use narrator, turn on narrator, toggle.
And I'm in settings here, and I think,
Scanned off.
yeah, I was in scan mode before. And we really recommend that you use scan mode here. We think it provides the optimal user experience here because you can quickly get to the different sections within narrator settings. There's a lot of headings here. Remember that we added heading support within settings and other applications too, like weather and things like that, right? So let's move by heading. I'm going to press the letter H.
Startup options, heading level 2.
Startup options.
Personalize narrator's voice, heading level 2.
Personalize narrator's voice.
Change what you hear when reading and interacting, heading level 2.
Right, change what you hear when interacting. So let's press the tab key here.
Change the level of detail narrator provides about text and controls. Combo box, 1, text only, collapsed.
Oh, we forgot, or at least I forgot anyway, to change us back to verbosity level 3. This is where you can also change your verbosity level. So let's move to 3 here.
3, all control details.
There
3,
we go.
all
That will
control
become
details.
more important
3 of
for
5,
Mariah
selected.
later. Let's press the tab key.
Have narrator's voice emphasize formatted text checkbox checked.
Yep, that is not new.
Hear phonetics as you read by character checkbox unchecked.
This is new. Now, in prior releases of Narrator, when you move by character, we would announce the phonetic name of a character. So for example, let's say that where I was moving across the word dog, and I moved over to the O, I would say Oscar, and then if I moved to the right, I would say golf or G and then golf. And we received feedback, again, from many of you, that that was a little too verbose, that, you know, that was kind of getting in the way and really detracting from the experience. So we turned it off, but for those that need it, this is where you can go ahead and set that, okay? So this is where you can do this in settings. There's no keyboard command to do it here. Now I'm going to move by heading because the remaining areas that we want to talk about are in the next setting or next section within Narrator settings itself. And we're going to talk about ways to improve your keyboarding experience. So let's move by heading here.
Change what you hear when typing, heading level 2.
Okay, change what you hear when typing. Now we know that people are you know, they want to have a lot of control, right? Screen reader users want to be able to control how their computer interacts as they use it. whether they're typing, they're reading, whatever the case may be, they want to have as much control as possible. And one of the things that we heard was they want to be able to refine and fine-tune their keyboarding experience. What keys will get spoken when I type? So whether that's the function keys, numbers, all kinds of different things here. And so we greatly expanded the configurability here. Let's tab through and find out what we have.
Hear letters, numbers, and punctuation as you type checkbox checked.
Okay.
Hear words as you type checkbox checked.
Hear words as you type.
Hear function keys as you type checkbox unchecked.
Hear function keys, so you can turn these on and off.
Hear arrow, tab, and other navigation keys as you type checkbox unchecked.
So arrow keys and the tab key and things of that nature you can turn on and off.
Hear when toggle keys like caps lock and number lock are turned on or off checkbox checked.
Right, so num lock, scroll lock, caps lock, all those types of keys.
Hear shift, alt, and other modifier keys as you type checkbox unchecked.
Shift and alt and other types of keys like that, you can turn these on and off as well.
Change when you receive caps lock warnings while typing. Always. Combo box.
Okay,
Collapsed.
and the final thing that we wanted to show you here is our new caps lock alert feature. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Word here.
Start window.
So
Cortana.
I'm going to type in
W-R-D.
Word.
Word. App. Press right to switch preview. 1 of 5. Pane.
So I'm opening up Word.
Opening. Word window. Word window.
And
Office. Blank document.
I
1 of
believe the backstage is going to come up here, so I'm going to tell it to create a blank
Space.
document.
Document 1. Editing.
And now I'm in a blank document here. Now, we know the problem, right? This is very common. People do this. I mean, everybody does this. Whether you're using a screen reader or not, this sometimes happens. You accidentally turn the caps lock key on, right? And you type, and you type, and you type, and you type. This has happened to me countless times. And you type, and you're typing all in uppercase, and you start your sentence with a lowercase character because you're pressing the shift key. And so, you don't realize what you've done until you're done creating this message, right? And you go, oh man, now how do I fix that? That's kind of a mess, right? How many times has that happened to you, Mariah?
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
happen to me.
it's kind of messy, right? So we wanted to be able to solve this, and really more importantly, it's even more of a problem with password fields. How many times do you sit there typing in a password and it's not right? It's sometimes this happens because the caps lock key is on. And especially if you haven't had your coffee in the morning, right? Or your caffeine or whatever you drink, this happened to me too. That's really, really frustrating. So how do we solve that? Well, we've come up with a way of doing that now in the May 2019 update. So I'm going to turn caps lock on.
Caps lock on.
Okay.
Caps lock off.
I think.
F. F.
Hold on.
Caps lock on. Cap F.
There we go.
Cap F.
Okay. So we now have caps lock on. And if I type, now I think it should pick this up. But as I type, so if I type,
T.
the,
Cap space.
you're hearing a little tick sound.
Cap space.
See?
Quick.
The quick brown.
Cap E. Cap N.
Right? Fox.
Space. Brown.
Right?
Cap
So
X,
you're
period,
hearing this
Fox.
tick sound. And that's kind of letting you know that, hey, you have your caps lock key turned on. Mm-hmm. You really want to be alerted to this. There are 3 options for this setting. There's always, meaning always let me know that the caps lock key is enabled. There's only when the shift key is held down. So maybe you're turning on the caps lock key for a reason. You're typing in a long, acronym or something, and you're purposely doing that, but you don't want to hear the tick, 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 tick. But it is something that you want to hear when you hold down the shift key, so that might be useful to you. And then there's, basically the setting is to turn off. Let's see exactly what the wording
Settings
on
window.
that is.
Change what you hear when typing. Change when you receive caps lock warnings while typing. Always. Combo box.
I'm going to
Collapsed.
turn
Scan
scan
off.
one off here.
Only when pressing shift. Don't warn.
And
3 of
don't
3.
warn.
Selected.
Yeah, forgot the exact wording on that. So again, there's 3 different settings
Only when
here.
always. 1 of 3.
The default experience is always. So again, we've talked about some of our reading improvements and more natural reading, allowing you to stay focused within the content, especially on the web and in mail, Windows Mail, as well as your Outlook email messages. We talked about narrator verbosity, the new 5 verbosity levels, and how you can use those while using Narrator, whether you are just reading or you're editing your documents. In addition, we showed you the move by sentence command. And finally, we showed you the new Narrator settings to allow you to control phonetic announcements, the new keyboarding experience to turn on and off specific keys, as well as our new caps lock behavior. Now, Mariah is going to show you some exciting things for the web.
Yes, thanks, Jeff. All right, so I'm going to Alt-tab here.
List of highest grossing films. Narrator. Narrator 100. Complete guide to narrate. Complete guide to Narrator.
All right,
Windows
I'll move
Help.
my mouse down.
Google Chrome Paint.
All
Complete
right.
guide to Narrator.
So one of the big pieces of feedback that we've heard is that people want to be able to use the Chrome browser. So we have added support for Chrome, and you can use Narrator with the Chrome browser now. So the things that you would expect to be here, things like heading navigation, link navigation, are all available. So I have the Narrator guide up right now, and I was just going to do a little bit of navigation. So I can press H to jump to heading.
New verbosity levels. Heading level
Oh,
3.
we're all the way down here. That's okay. I can Shift H
Read by
back up
sentence.
here.
Narrator
That's
home.
kind of very strange on what it
What's new? Heading level 2.
I think I had already been kind of reading a little bit of the
Okay,
page.
yeah, okay.
So I will.
Caught me
I'm
off
going to
guard
do.
there.
So I'm going to Alt D up
Google
here.
Chrome. Address and search bar.
And I'll
Edit.
press
HT.
Enter. Let it
Document. Has
reload.
finished loading.
There you go.
Complete guide to Narrator. Windows Help has finished
Let's
loading.
see if.
Complete
There
guide
we
to
go.
Narrator.
All right.
Heading level 1.
So now we're back up at the top. So I can use H here to jump
Table
by
of
heading.
contents. Heading What's new? Heading level 2.
All right, I can do something like I can press the Narrator key and down arrow to do some reading.
Heading level 2. What's new? Heading level 3. Narrator home. Every time you turn on Narrator, you'll go to Narrator home, which gives you one place where you can find everything you need, from changing your Narrator settings.
All right, I'll stop it there. So we were just doing some reading with Narrator key down arrow. I can also jump by link by pressing K.
Complete guide to Narrator. Windows Help. Link.
Narrator
Chapter 4.
I can also do things like I can bring up the list of links, list of landmarks, list of headings. I'll go ahead and bring up list of headings here with Narrator key F6.
Search headings window. Search list. Complete guide to Narrator. Heading level 1. 1 of
And
2.
you-
Selected. Scanned off.
And you can filter here so I can type
What's
in
new?
what's
H.
new. There we go. Press enter. There we go. So yeah, so the things that you would expect to have for typical web browsing support are now available in Chrome. So that is what I wanted to show with that. And now I think I will hand it back over to Jeff to talk about feedback.
Yes, and we really want your feedback about Narrator all up, but there's lots and lots of ways to do it. So let's talk about some of these. The first way you can do this is to use the feedback hub.
Exiting Narrator.
You can do that a number of different ways. If Narrator is running, you can hold down the Narrator key, followed by Alt and the letter F as in feedback. This brings up the feedback hub, and you're asked a very basic set of questions. It's really, really simple. It doesn't take too long to submit one. And then you can quickly submit that information to us. Now, if you're not running Narrator and you need to be able to submit feedback, you can do that too. You can hold down the Windows logo key and press the letter F. A lot of customers ask us, what happens when we actually submit feedback, using the feedback hub? Well, I can tell you from personal experience that we look at that feedback every day at Microsoft. There's an actual dedicated team that actually looks at your feedback in lots of different ways, not just through Feedback Hub. But there's also a team that does something that we call triaging, where we actually look at things that are submitted through Feedback Hub from customers like yourselves, and we actually talk about your issue specifically, and we talk about it and try to work through all of the issues that customers are raising and bringing up as a concern. Now, you can also use User Voice. Now, User Voice is another great tool. The neat thing about User Voice is it allows you to also log something that's important to you, but more importantly here is you can vote on other things that people are finding that they feel are important to get addressed in Narrator. You can go to the User Voice forum for Narrator by going to aka.ms/accessibility feedback. So, I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I think we can hand it over for some questions.
Absolutely. We're ready to hear your
Awesome.
questions.
Yeah,
Let's
ready.
do it.
All right. That looks great. This was really awesome info. I got to say, the refresher on verbosity is always a good reminder. I know I get frustrated with the chattiness sometimes, and it's awesome to be reminded how to get that to slow down a little.
Thanks, Corey.
Okay, we're ready for your questions. And if you haven't already submitted them via Twitter or email, please send them over to ACC Webinars. That's WEBINARS at Microsoft.com. Or you can tweet at MSFT Enable with the hashtag accessibility webinar. Now, while we're collecting our questions from the audience, I want to actually take a chance to ask my own question. I've been seeing online, Mariah and Jeff, that folks are talking about seeing AI integration into Narrator. What's the story with that? That's a little new.
So that's a great question, Corey. So Narrator uses something called cognitive services for our image description command. So that's the Narrator key Control D as in description. And Seeing AI does also use that same technology. Seeing AI itself is not built into Windows, but we do use some of the same technology to get a similar image description experience.
Cool. Thanks, Mariah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and jump into questions that are coming in. Thank you guys so much for sending your questions in. The first one I have here is, how do I get Narrator? Is it something I have to install?
Thanks, Crystal, and thanks, everyone. Narrator comes built into Windows 10. And actually, you know, it's very, very easy. We've talked about it here. You can turn it on and off with Control Windows Enter. You can even enable it and turn it on if you buy a brand new computer. So let's say you go out to your local computer store and you purchase a computer and you bring it home, you turn it on for the first time. You can turn Narrator on and actually use Narrator to actually get your computer up and running. So no, you don't need to go download anything or anything of that nature. Now, one of the neat things though is that you can download additional voices for Narrator. And in fact, in the May update, we made a change so that you don't have to install language packs so that you can more quickly install these voices that we have available on the web. So you can do that. But Narrator itself is actually, built right into Windows. So no need to go out and download anything.
You got one?
All right. Yeah, I got one. So we have a user that sent in a question about some of the newer functionality. Narrator Home doesn't appear when they start Narrator. How can they fix that?
So that's a great question. I'm actually going to escape out of the PowerPoint. We can bring up Narrator. I'll just press Control Windows Enter.
Start narrator. Don't turn. Okay. Narrator heading level 1.
So the checkbox that may be checked for you is this show Narrator Home when Narrator starts. So if that checkbox is unchecked, Narrator Home will not start. The other thing that might be happening is you might not have the right build yet of Windows.
Right, or the right version of Windows.
Right,
yeah.
the right version of Windows. So
Now, the quick way to find that out is if the quick start comes up first, then you'll know that you don't have the most recent version of Windows. And you can go to Windows Update and check there, and you'll get an opportunity to download it and install it.
yeah.
Great, thank you. I'm actually going to skip around. I just got a follow-up question on that. A customer saying they're not on 1903 yet. Do you guys know how to force that?
The best thing that we would suggest that you do is to check for updates. That's the best way of getting your computer to go out and look for it. There may be a reason why your specific device is not being offered the update for the May update. It could be that there's some hardware on your on your machine that we've found that we need to continue to look at, or even some software. So we really want to make sure that when you upgrade that you have the ideal user experience, right? That there's no problem. So when we do a check for update, it actually does quite a bit of analysis to make sure, yes, first of all, your device is ready, and okay, great. Then here it is, download it and have fun with the new update, right? So there could be a number of factors there, but my best advice to you is to go ahead and check for update. That's the easiest solution. If you run into problems and you want to actually do a little more checking into this, then the Disability Answer Desk can also assist you. And they're a great resource, and there's a number of ways to be able to access them.
Do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, sure. I was really curious, from this user is asking, I'm really curious, is there you reviewed some of the verbosity questions. Is there a way to quickly adjust your voice options, pitch, speed, things like that?
You want to take that one, Mariah?
So I'm wondering if the person is asking about if there's shortcuts for those type of settings.
That's what it seems like.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of ways to do that.
Turning on.
I'm turning on input learning with Narrator key 1, and you can increase and decrease the speed of Narrator's voice with the Narrator key plus and minus.
Equal sign. Increase voice speed. Hyphen. Decrease voice speed.
So that was the plus and the minus keys. And then the volume keys you can do with Narrator control plus
Control.
and minus.
Equal sign. Increase voice volume. Hyphen. Decrease voice volume.
I'm gonna
Equal
just make
sign.
sure that-
Increase control.
Yep. So you can do that. And then there's other settings within Narrator settings itself to be able to change the voice and
Input.
other characteristics as well.
Just looking here, we've had a bunch of other ones come in. So I had a question from a user around, I know you showed some functionality of Narrator in Word. They're asking about some sort of quick keys to do spell checking in Word. They say that with JAWS, they're using, I think it's Control-Shift-L to bring up a quick list or quickly check the list of misspelled words. They know that F7 exists, but is there any chance that you guys are working on something to streamline that with Narrator as well? Just a streamlined...
Sure. We can't really talk about what things are coming in the future. There is a way of getting a sneak peek at some of the things that we're doing, and I actually forgot to talk about that as part of feedback. You can join our Insider program and get an early peek at some of the work that we're doing in future releases of Windows. You can actually join the Windows Insider program as part of the settings experience. You can go into settings and actually enroll in that. We really would recommend, though, that if you do that you do it on a device that is not your primary device. But as far as being able to navigate to misspelled words, there are ways of doing this within Office, and I would redirect you to the Disability Answer Desk. They can give you some more guidance on that specifically. Or you can go to the Office Accessibility Hub, and I believe that's aka.ms/Office Accessibility, I believe, but we'll double check that and make sure it's in the notes that we sent out as part of the video.
Okay, thanks. So we have one more question on browser compatibility. So you highlighted the new Chrome compatibility. Does this affect our ability to use Internet Explorer, Firefox, or other browsers?
So that's a great question. So with Narrator right now, we do recommend Edge for kind of the best, most performant experience. We have just added our Chrome support, so that is now also available. You can still use IE and Firefox, but it might not be the most performant experience. So we definitely kind of optimize for Edge and now Chrome.
Yep.
Yep.
Great. Another question here around hearing the phonetic feedback. So the user's saying in JAWS they can use insert numpad twice to get a phonetic readout of a word. Do you have that same similar feature in Narrator?
Boy, I don't.
We have the spell feature.
Yeah, we have the
right?
spell feature. Yeah. So, yes, it's definitely similar. Absolutely.
So do we want to go into input learning maybe?
Let's see. I believe.
Input learning on. Up arrow. Read current line.
Believe.
Numpad 5. Read item spelled out.
Yeah. So you can use the narrator key +5 twice quickly, and that will spell the current item, right? So whether that's a word or character, and you can get that information there.
So do you have any more questions on Twitter?
Yeah, I got one more that I can use here. Let's see.
One.
This user is experiencing kind of a mismatch on the keyboard commands that you've outlined here. So their verbosity key is insert +A. Any idea of what's going on there?
Yes, you're on an older release. So you do not have the release with our new keyboard experience at this point. Or it's possible that you've changed to the legacy keyboard layout. So in settings, here, let me show you. If I go into settings,
Settings window. Use narrator. Turn on narrator. Toggle switch.
and I move by
Scan off.
heading,
H.
oops,
Scan. Startup options. Heading level
I'm
2.
gonna move down to our keyboard settings.
Change what you hear when reading and interacting. Heading. Change what you hear when typing. Choose keyboard settings. Heading level 2.
Okay?
Select keyboard layout. Standard. Combo box. Collapsed.
Here is where you can select the actual keyboard layout that you would like to use. This combo box has two options, both standard and legacy. And by default, you're going to get the standard keyboard layout if you were to upgrade to, the release that has this. If you, for whatever reason, want to switch back to the legacy keyboard layout, you can definitely do that. So it's one of two things. And if you don't have this option here in Narrator settings, again, Control Windows N as in Narrator, then it means that you're not on a version of Windows that has our new keyboard layout.
And another great way to check that is the keyboard dialog. So if you saw that keyboard dialog that said, heads up, we have a new keyboard
absolutely.
layout.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so that's another great way to know if you have that keyboard layout.
You may have turned it off. Remember, there's a checkbox there that allows you to check it so it doesn't show it again. So just a few things for you to check and just make sure about.
I'm up. Okay, great. These questions are really good. Another question about authoring. So if I'm in track changes in Word, will Narrator announce insertions and deletions, and does the verbosity level impact that?
Yes, I believe that you will need to be at verbosity level. I believe that you'll get those at verbosity level 4, but honestly, I cannot remember. There's a lot of differences between the two, and I just can't remember at this point at which verbosity level that specific item was in. But I believe it's at 4.
Yeah, I would say try at a higher verbosity than 3, because I don't think you get them at 3.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. This question comes in from a kind of a power user, it looks like. They're familiar with some of the scripting capabilities that come from other screen readers. Is there anything like that with Narrator that users can tap into?
So we currently don't have any scripting support, but what we've been asking people to do is please send us the scenarios you're really trying to achieve when you say scripting. Are there specific applications that need to work better, or are there specific scenarios that you're trying to achieve? So that's what we're looking for follow-ups on scripting.
I think we might have time. What do you think, Corey? Maybe for one more question?
Sure, go for it.
There's somebody just asking for further clarification about how to update Narrator. At work, they're not on a build of Windows that they can update. In a lot of work settings, people don't have that ability to have that control. But they're wondering, is there a way to update Narrator independent of that?
No, Narrator is actually part of, the update process when we actually upgrade Windows itself. So there's no way, to download it or, and apply a new version of Narrator. It comes as part of the actual Windows, upgrade experience.
I want to thank you, though, for your feedback. We have heard that from a lot of people, and we can definitely take that back to the team.
Oh, absolutely.
And let people know. So thank you for sending that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, just reading through this stuff, I'm amazed at the number of feature requests you guys have right here. We are going to have to stop for now. We really do appreciate all the questions that have been coming in. Really appreciate, Jeff and Mariah, you taking the time to answer these. If we didn't get to your question, please do reach out to the Disability Answer Desk, as Jeff was mentioning, either if you need to follow up on anything we've talked about, or if you just have a question on how to use Narrator, we're absolutely able to help with that. You can do that at our webpage. If you need a short link to just get there quick and get our phone number, you can go to aka.ms/dad, that's DAD. You can also reach out to us on Twitter, just at MSFT Enable with those questions as well.
All right. Thank you everyone so much for joining today. That is all the time we have. I do want to remind you that we will be sending out an email with a link to a survey. I know everyone gets lots of survey emails, but please take the time to complete this one because it'll be how we know what to talk about next and how we know to improve this to be the best experience for everyone who watches.
Before we close, do you mind if I review a couple resources for everybody?
Please do.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm just going to read off some resources here, just so folks have all of the information. The Narrator Guide, you can get to quickly by going to aka.ms/Narrator Guide. To become a Windows Insider, so you can try out all these new cool things as quickly as possible, you can go to insider.windows.com. To share feedback on accessibility features and any of our products, or to give us some thoughts on future webinar topics, feel free to go to aka.ms/accessibilityfeedback. And I will turn it over for the rest of the time to you, Corey.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much for joining. And if you get this email with the survey link, please take the time to complete it because it will be how we know what to change and what to make better. For our archives and for our upcoming schedule, you can check out aka.ms/accessibilitywebinars. That's webinars with an S, and it's all one word. And our next webinar is on July 17th, and it will be covering many of the learning tools available in some of our Microsoft products. Thank you again for joining.